speaking of rigged, thanks to WikiLeaks, we have just seen exactly how John Podesta and company over in the Clinton camp were going to, they put out a multi-page document in detail showing exactly how to manufacture detailed and desired data by oversampling. If you oversample certain demographics, then you wind up with better results for you.
Oh, that's right. So this is the email that came in. This is from Tom Matsey, the Democratic consultant. Here's what it says. Hey, when can we meet? I want to get your Atlas folks to recommend oversamples for our polling before we start in February by market regions, etc. I want to get this all compiled into one set of recommendations so we can maximize what we get out of our media polling.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, people are saying, okay, why are the polls where they are, or why are they sampled the way they where they appear to be? And maybe they say that the Democrats want to make everyone feel like the die has been cast. If you look at the ABC poll and you believe what the ABC poll says today, it is a 12-point advantage for Hillary Clinton. Now, somebody might be going, you know, I'm not even going to vote. You know, my guy's not going to have a chance. Right. I'm going to show up.
Sure, but when you look at the ABC poll, where it's 12 points ahead for Hillary Clinton, if you look in the fine print, they asked 9% more Democrats. So, you know, surely there is an edge in registration for Democrats. But what they're talking about is the way you manipulate the data. For instance, this thing goes on to say, in Arizona, oversampling of Hispanics and Native Americans is highly recommended. In Florida, make sure the sample's not too old, because apparently they feel they vote Republican, has enough African American and Hispanic voters, and on independents when it comes to the cities of Tampa and Orlando, those are better persuasion targets than North or South Florida. So include Tampa or Orlando first. So if you essentially bake the cake that way, you're going to wind up with better.
And you wonder why they say that her campaign is calculated? You wonder where that comes from.
Everything you read is it's over. They're focusing on winning big and taking back the Senate. But where upon further review, people who don't have a horse in the race, maybe like a David Axelrod, go, it's not over. In fact, if she overplays that, it could all boomerang, and a lot of those people who are leaning went to Obama could go back to Trump where they were in August and September. Meanwhile, one of the big debates is, moral debate, political debate, is what to do with the WikiLeaks missives. Almost nobody had said, except maybe out of 2 emails, out of the tens of thousands, that they've been inaccurate or manipulated. So if they're the facts and they bring you behind the scenes, what do you do? So when Hillary Clinton's camp is asked over and over again about the specifics inside, they talk generally about how the Russians are trying to play a role in the election. Chris Wallace was ready for that when he talked to Rob Mook.
These are stolen documents, stolen by the Russians. It's now confirmed from John Podesta. They are being put out for exactly this purpose.
Well,
the Russians and Donald Trump want this campaign to be about something else right now.
Let me just speak to that, though, because, you know, the Trump tax returns were stolen as well when they were mailed to the New York Times. You guys didn't object to that. In fact, you jumped all over.
Well, we don't know where those tax returns come from.
They weren't. They were clearly stolen.
We don't know, and you'd have to work with the New York Times on that.
Had given them?
I don't know. I don't know how they got to the New York Times.
I guess what I'm saying is, if we're looking at the fruits of that theft, and I will call it a theft, it's fair to look at the fruits of your theft.
I think what's particularly disturbing in this situation is that the intelligence community has now confirmed that John Podesta's emails and the DNC emails were stolen by the Russians.
I know about the Russian connection. I'm talking about the $12 million from the King of Morocco, and the fact that this continues to sort of show the line between private and public, and Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation.
Again, this is the discussion the Russians want us to be having. They stole this information. They're selectively leaking. I can't even verify any of the information that you have there. We simply don't have enough time as a campaign
I promise you, if these were not true, you'd tell us.
A great point, Chris Wallace. Look, obviously the leaks were true when, I think it was DC Leaks, announced the stuff between Debbie Wasserman Schultz and how she eventually wound up losing bad stuff.
Otherwise, you guys would be the first to say they're not true. This is what makes Chris Wallace one of the best journalists in the business, because he knew going into this interview that this was likely going to be the exact talking point coming from Hillary Clinton's campaign. He was so quick to jump on the hypocrisy of all this and the politics and how calculated her campaign is. The reason I think these WikiLeaks are troubling the the $12 million, for example, that he mentioned there. This is not like we're talking about controversies in their personal life. This is how they're going to be when they are in the White House. This is pay for play. This is abusing the system. It's exactly what this cycle was not about. If you remember early on in the stages of the primaries, people wanted an outsider candidate, someone that was opposite of what we're seeing now.
I'll build on that. Donald Trump's the biggest critic for Donald Trump. He's too transparent. Everything is on his mind. He tweets. Sure. And you go, wow, what's he doing? With Hillary Clinton, everything is calculated, so you have to lift open the covers to find out what the truth is.
Yeah,
and when you find out what the truth is, they go, oh, it's the Russians.
That's
so that's the problem. That's why we're going to go slamming into it's
always the Russians'
hour. We're going to find the Russians.
You know, Mitt Romney was right. It's always the Russians.
That's true. He was onto something there. All right, let's toss over to Heather for some headlines. Heather, good morning.
Good morning. Great.